friends and associates, and well-wishers of Idowu Phillips, popularly known as Mama Rainbow, gathered from far and near to celebrate and rejoice with the movie icon.
Captain Cristiano Ronaldo's record as the highest goal scorer in European club football. The Argentine star netted in the 26th minute of the encounter to give the Parisians the lead. This was the Argentine's 702nd club goal in Europe, and he is now the leading goal scorer in European club football, going past his longtime rival Ronaldo's tally of 701 goals. The PSG talisman has reached the mark in 105 fewer games than the former Manchester United and Real Madrid star. The 35-year-old scored 672 goals in 778 games during his spell at Barcelona. The seven-time Ballon d'Or winner has now netted 30 goals for PSG, having played 68 games, including the Nice game. And sports news wraps it for us. Just before we go, a recap of the main news. Well, we told you that Christians have commemorated the season of Easter with Thanksgiving, staying hopeful for better days. And the Social Democratic Party in Rivers State has vowed to challenge the PDP governorship victory. And Palestinians have buried a man killed by Israeli forces in the West Bank. We also told you that Pope Francis has appealed to Russians on Ukraine while decrying the Middle East violence. And that's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV African Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex and Limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. On behalf of everyone here, many thanks for watching. I am Justin Akadonye. Have yourself a wonderful week ahead. Bye for now.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria with 351,861 hectares of land, is the authentic home of every tribe and tongue in Nigeria. The state, though small in landmass, is controversially the most populous state in the country. One of the neighborhoods in the state is Obalende, located in a Tiosa local government area. The area is strategically a historic site because before the relocation of administrative capital from Lagos to Abuja, it was the seat of power of the military head of state, the Dodon Barrack. Historically, a Royal West African Frontier Force, predominantly Hausa men, were initially camped on the land where the famous King's College is situated. Then there was a need for the use of the land, and the Oba of Lagos was said to have pressured the governor of Lagos to resettle the Hausa men and sold the land in what is now Obalende to the British colonial masters. After resettlement in the purchased land, the Royal West Africa Frontier Forcemen named the place Ibiti Obalewade, which translates to the place where the king drove us to. Obalende, though crowded, is famous for its nightlife and for its suya sport, with a junction popularly called Suya Junction. For ease of administration, former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, created additional 37 local council development areas from the existing 20 local council areas. So the current Obalende is carved out under Ikoyi Obalende Local Council Development Area. Ikorodu town is another historic location in Lagos, located in the northeast area of the state along the Lagos Lagoon and shares a boundary with Ogun State. Currently, the town houses Ikorodu local government area and 5 local council development areas. Kabiru Shotobi is the king of Ikorodu, traditionally known as Ayogbunre of Ikorodu, who ascended the throne from October 24, 2015. The name Ikorodu came about from people whose ancestors descended from the Remo stock of Yoruba tribe who came to settle on a plateau and named it Ikorodu, a shortened word from Oko Odu, which literally means Odu, farm. The current metro area population of Ikorodu in 2021 is 989,000, a 5.44% increase from 2020. Trading, farming, and manufacturing are some of the things Ikorodu is known for. Ikeja is the capital of Lagos State, formerly called Akeja. It was named after a deity of the Awori people of Ota, who originally settled there. The area was invaded for slaves until the mid-19th century. Ikeja, an abbreviation meaning of Ikorodu and Ekpe joint administration, was coined by colonial administrators for ease of administration. It is the official seat of the governor of the state, where the state secretariat is also located. It is also where the domestic and international airports are located. Its population as of 2006 census is 330,196. Ikeja is home to one of West Africa's largest gadget markets, popularly known as Computer Village, and home to a shopping mall known as Ikeja City Mall, which is the biggest mall in Lagos mainland and also has a cinema. These are some interesting places that make Lagos a world-class destination.
and welcome to Plus Event, your #1 diary show that brings the best and biggest event to your screen. I am Uyime Elijah, and on today's show, we have 3 interesting events that you would absolutely enjoy. First is John Wick movie premiere, which took place at the Silverbird Galleria. Movie lovers and celebrities were there to experience the 4th installment. Plus TV Africa was there to cover the moment. It was a night of fashion, laughter, food, and of course action as people trooped out for the 4th installment of John Wick. And trust Plus TV Africa to bring you the glitz and glamour. John Wick is a movie that starts with Keanu Reeves as the title character alongside a supporting ensemble cast including Donnie Yen, Bill Skarsgård, and Lawrence Fishburne.
42 regular, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so it begins.
Movie lovers who came to witness the premiere had this to say.
A lot of people are asking what's going on in Hollywood. There's a lot of remakes and reboots. And we found out that COVID caused a problem. COVID hits, movies went to streaming platforms. So people had to stream movies. That took a chunk of the audience out of cinema theaters. And that was a big problem for ROI. Making money at the cinema became a big problem. So what do people do now? They go back to existing franchises that are really big, and they make a reboot or a prequel. And that's what's going on. So if you own a franchise now, you want to build a universe around it. So obviously that's what's happening with the John Wick franchise. The first one I liked, second one amazing, third one was superb, and it's the 4th one. Donnie Yen is in the 4th one. I don't see anything bad about it. And of course we all love Keanu Reeves. His career was a bit slow. The Matrix came and made him become an icon.
Important, especially for somebody like me. I love John Wick, so I'm excited to watch it. So yes, it is. 1, 2, 3 has been superb. So definitely 4, maybe a 5. Why not?
It's a franchise that people love. I personally love it. I could watch. I've actually seen 1, 2, 3 severally, and obviously waiting for a sequel of 3, and then we have this. I'm totally looking forward to all the shooting, all the killing, all the.
I think the audience always wants to know what's going on and always see something develop from a storyline. And I think it was, because it kind of makes you want to know what is the next chapter for John Wick.
I didn't think it was necessary for them to have done 3. But by the time when you see the ending of 3, there's no way they will not have done 4.
When a soup is sweet, you eat it over and over and over and over again. I think they've done well with the franchise. From the John Wick 1, 2, 3, the 3 previous installment has been amazing. So I think we're all yearning for it, and that's why we're here. All of us turned up for John Wick 4 because it's one of the biggest things happening around right now. One of the biggest action films coming around in a while.
Amen.
You ain't real, y'all feel the wrath of the killer. Many try, many die. If you want a war, get it bloody.
Now, the next event is on book presentation and autobiography of Professor Samuel Adebonojo, launched in Lagos.
The book presentation brought together family, friends, alma mater, and close associates of Professor Samuel Adetola Adebonojo, a cardiothoracic surgeon. Titled Precious Hearts in My Hands, the book speaks to the very essence and nature of what Professor Adebonojo lives for.
The message is, if you choose to be a doctor, no matter which doctor, one, you have to be persevering. You have to have the endurance, the strength to withstand, and you have to be sympathetic and have the influence of the patient at heart. It's not money. It's not money. It's the patient. I never did any private practice. I had very little money. Money was not my intention, but saving lives was my intention.
The 222-page book x-rays his journey through life, education, sojourn abroad, medical profession, and into the U.S. Army. Chief Akin Pukwola is a book reviewer. He aptly encapsulates the exploits of the author in the book.
In the book, I didn't know that Omoba do walk to school barefooted. This was really interesting to me. So Baba walked barefooted to school. He started at Borogu Primary School and on to Ijebode Grammar School and transferred to the CMS Grammar School where he completed his secondary school education.
Otumba Michael Balogun is the chairman of the occasion. With emotion-laden tone, Otumba Balogun told the story of how far he has come with the author.
Tola appreciates relationships. He will sacrifice anything to make you feel proud that you have someone related to you doing all these things. I have learned a lot from him. That is what I mean by his good-naturedness. Apart from that, God blesses his soul. He would sacrifice anything to make a cousin happy. He is a cousin I would like to have any time.
The occasion presented an avenue for outpouring of tributes to the author.
You say he's strict, I agree. But what do you expect? Somebody who's achieved so much, from self-discipline, from commitment to whatever he does, you can't expect a better standard from such a person. Because life is not a party. And because life is not a party, people don't only work hard to get to where they are, they also work hard to stay and go above where they are.
It's a reflection of the kind of upbringing we had in our time. And when this generation reads it, I'm sure they will learn something from it. And it will help improve the current generation and probably generation coming.
Life of the author of the book. It's an autobiography. So you are hearing technically from the author's mouth what he went through in life. And like I did say, he came to CMS Grammar School. The school has values. We have our values, we have our traditions. Some of those values and traditions were the things that have helped Professor Adebonojo even up till now. Number one, is very, very sensitive with time and appointments.
The consensus is that the book Precious Hearts in My Hands is one that is bound to inspire and impact positively on evil generations unborn. Love Ikuku Uyedoku, Plus TV News.
And finally, on this episode of Plus Events is on the work for mental health, which was themed The Mind Behind the Masks. Renowned psychiatrist and therapist Dr. Maimuna Yusuf Kadrik held her maiden mental health conference to educate women on these issues. The event had panel sessions with notable key industry leaders and mental health ambassadors. Around 8 in 10 women experience some form of mental health illness, including clinical depression, anxiety, drug abuse, and depression in their lifetime. To tackle this, renowned psychiatrist and therapist Dr. Memuna Yusuf Kadrik has held her maiden mental health conference to educate women on these issues. The event themed The Mind Behind the Masks created a platform to educate the public on mental health issues and also review the recently passed mental health bill.
So we're having mental health conversations today. One of the most difficult as Africans to have, we have the stigma around mental health issues, and so they're the most difficult conversations you'd ever find people having. But we're making it normal here. We're sitting here today, people would share their experiences. We'll normalize the conversation. It has to become a normal thing, just as you're discussing your physical health issues. If you have a headache, you quickly say to someone, I have a headache. But if you're depressed, you will find it hard to express yourself about that issue. And it's something that you should be able to share so you can get help. We are, at this time, even during the elections, you see a lot of provocations flying around. We don't even understand the balance of respect anymore. So it's important that we have this kind of conversations. We know how to come in. We express, how important it is to be empathetic at this time towards any issue at all that anyone is having. So I am pleased to be here.
It's really a good initiative because you see the mindset, a lot goes in underneath it. You can see someone smiling and all of that. You don't know what that person is actually going inside. So I'm actually happy about this initiative to actually bring more awareness and enlightenment that people should please remember to be kind. You never can tell what someone else is dealing with because mental health is beyond the physical.
I think it's very important. I think Dr. May has done an incredible job making this happen. And I'm here to support her because I think that this is the kind of conversation we should be having. And we should be more open and honest about the reality of it.
Well, I'm really excited about this conference. Mental health is a burning issue right now. It's affecting all members of our population, especially our young people. And we have to collaborate as a nation, ensure that our teachers, our professionals, our HR managers, every spectrum of society has to understand mental health and recognize that it's a critical issue and address it urgently.
Truth be told, to share your vulnerability is often regarded as weakness. But here's the thing, to share your weakness is a sign of strength. So I think because we come from such a conservative society where, the patriarchy of it all is that you must be a man. You must not cry. You must not shed tears. You must not show emotions. You must be strong and steadfast. I mean, times are changing. Now is the time where all of us need to support each other in terms of, I'm speaking about gender here, gender-based. Men, they say women supporting women. That's such a popular hashtag, a popular slogan. But you've not really heard of men supporting men. In case you're wondering which gender I'm associated, I am a bros, I have blockers. Anyway, away from that, I am also in some sort of way therapist, guidance counselor, sounding board, lexicon to all of my friends. And it will shock you because everybody brings that appearance to me. I'm a problem solver. The thing is that people come into my life to take. At times I wonder, because I give so much, I wonder who am I really going to take from that will really give. It's very hard to find. Now, as men, let's cut out that narrative of we have to be emotionless. Mama, how are you? Haven't seen her in a minute. We have to cut out the narrative of not showing emotions, of not breaking down, of not showing vulnerability and even strength, because you might think that vulnerability sounds like weakness, but here's the deal. It is courage and truth, and it is strength embedded in all of that courage when you do express your vulnerability. So as all the men out there, I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with you when you break down, because we all need to break. We're humans. We have to. As I said earlier, when things are falling out of place, they may actually be falling into place.
First of all, I won't say I love what is happening, because mental health for a very long time has taken a backseat in the whole Nigerian space. At some point, even the Suicide Act, for instance, treats people who suffer from mental health issues as criminals. And I love that events like this is happening. Even though some has happened in the past, one of this particular grade and, magnitude should be celebrated. So yes, I am happy that the conversations about mental health is taking a front seat.
I think it's an innovation, because when you look at the things going on, especially post-COVID, 1 billion in 8 billion people. In fact, 2 billion in 8 billion people have mental health disorders. So that, put plainly, 1 in 4 of us needs care. And so we need to elevate the discussion to the center. And that's what Dr. May and the Mental Health Conference have done. They've made it's no longer a fringe discussion. It's at the center of policy. And why is this important? When you look at economic capacity of a country, you're looking at its resourcing, its people, and it includes its vulnerable people. We must integrate people suffering or who have any form of mental illness in a productive way. We must integrate them in a productive way. And for us to do that, we must have these conversations. And it has a direct line to GDP. Most times they're talking about follow the money. Mental health and following the money have a nexus. There's a joining line. And so it's important that as we think about growing our economy, growing taxes, developing people, building businesses, we must be thinking about the mental health of the people who are doing this business, the entrepreneurs, the families, and just all of us in general.
Yusuf Kadrik said there is a need for experts to lend their voices towards creating a safe and harmonious community for women and people in general.
It's long time coming. This has been long time coming. In the fact that, mental health is part of our health, but it has been relegated to the background. People ordinarily don't think that mental health is as important as their physical health. And yes, we have made some progress so far with people talking about their mental health, but the stigma and discrimination attached to mental health and people living with mental illness is still very high. And of course, in Nigeria, we are in election period. This is a big risk I had to take to say, look, after the election, let's come and get a place where we can exhale and just, have fun. But why the Mental Health Conference today? January 5th, 2023, the president of our federation, President Muhammadu Buhari, gave us the most beautiful gift of all by passing the mental health law bill into law, which, after 65 years of using the Lunacy Act of 1958, we finally now have a mental health law. This means that Nigerians' mental health is officially a priority. And so creating this mental health conference, which is our maiden edition, is to let Nigerians know about the benefits of that law, know what it all entails, and of course talk about pertinent things that are important to our well-being, family, our finances, relationship we have with people. And this is all what everybody should expect today in this mental health conference. And I'm really excited, that this is finally a reality.
Nothing short of 1,000 times, but really, I'm the one who should be doing the forgiving to myself too, for doing things I said I would never do. Oh, it's true. It's not really time to the surface. It's already done, and I know say if I hold up, I know what's safe place, but not the only way out of this place. Sometimes I wanna scream and shout. Ooh, I gotta let it out. Nothing for me to do. I get it all.
Well, that's a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed this event on the show today. Remember, if you want to showcase your event to the world, Plus Events is the place for you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Uyime Elijah. Remain blessed and stay safe.
we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
That you wanted to have a career session?
When I was taken to Portobello Road Market in London when I was about 10 or 12 years old, and there was all these colourful characters everywhere dressing up, and I saw very quickly the reaction and the way that they made me feel, and I wanted to have a part of that. I think there's a level of escapism within the fashion industry, and it's a chance to put feathers on and dress up and escape maybe from your day-to-day life. Yeah.
For photography and beauty, Linda asked if I would do her makeup for this photo shoot. So, of course, I was beyond thrilled, and I said that I would do it. I mean, after all, I've done her makeup over the years, kind of on the side, learning my craft along the way, and I'm going to be honest with you. There were a lot of messy attempts at learning that perfect smoky eye. Trust me, terrible. But after Linda's shoot, Christian complimented me on my work, and he asked if I would be interested in working with him from time to time.
Before I, introduce her, she's such an amazing person, such a vibrant personality. She's one of us. She's the first West African woman to be a style editor at Elle magazine. Her style has been described as eccentric, classy, and fashionable. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nikki Ogunnaike. Can everyone say hello to my Instagram, please? A big Niger hello. Yes, oh yes. Thank you so much, Nikki. Welcome. Thank you.
What does style mean to me? Style is inspiration. It is, and style is a portrait of who you are as a person. So when you put on your clothing every day, you're telling the world something. And so here I'm telling the world with this outfit that I like colors and I like vibrancy and I'm excited to be here.
So what am I telling the world
I
about?
think you're telling me the same thing.
Okay.
The yellow is nice. So, I think that fashion and style is just inspired by what you see in the world via Instagram, via Snapchat, and also through fashion magazines and websites. Yeah, okay. Come on up, just turn around. No, Wookie, you have to model for us. Okay, she's modeling for us, and so I guess I'm gonna weigh in on my sister's outfit, which I love. Doesn't she look good? Can we get a round of applause for Lola? Oh, come on. Thank you. So as a fashion expert, this is what I'm weighing in on. I think Lola looks amazing. She's figured out a way to use a traditional sort of silhouette, wear white, which is nice and airy, but she added her own sort of sense of style with this belt. And I love it. And I think she got these shoes in Nigeria when we were just here. So she's mixing, American fashion with Nigerian fashion. Okay, everyone give them a round of applause. Okay, work it, so work it. Hey. There you go. But she paired it with a nice sort of top, and so it's like a menswear inspired top. And this is an example of how to do menswear and women's wear, but with African accessories, which is really great to see. The mix is genius.
Abla şu an lütfen siz kendinizi düşünün. Başka bir şey görmüyorum ben.
An earthquake kills tens of thousands of people, leaving hundreds of thousands homeless in Turkey and Syria.
We don't know if they are alive or dead, but mostly dead bodies come out now.
From rescue to recovery and survival amid the rubble. Now, on the Inside Story, Earthquake.
Hi, I'm Anita Powell, VOA White House correspondent. It was 4:17 Monday morning, February 6th, when the earth shook in south central Turkey and northern Syria. The magnitude 7.8 earthquake was followed by a 7.5 magnitude aftershock 9 hours later. The death toll is more than 40,000 people. Rescue operations are shifting to recovery efforts as families grimly watch and pray. The epicenter was 33 kilometers west of Gaziantep, a major city in an area of more than 2 million people. The big aftershock was centered around 80 kilometers north, near the ancient city of Kahramanmaraş, an area with about 1 million people. Getting help to survivors has been hampered by geography and war. Dorian Jones begins our coverage from Istanbul.
For many earthquake survivors, the painful wait continues for loved ones still buried in collapsed buildings as rescuers race against time to find survivors.
2 of our relatives are under the rubble. They still could not take them out. So we are waiting. We don't know if they are alive or dead, but mostly dead bodies come out now. Some come out alive, but not many. We are waiting. God should not make anyone experience such a thing.
Successes still occur. 6 days after the quake, a U.S. search and rescue team dug out a survivor, part of a growing global effort to help. But with over 7,000 buildings destroyed and many more uninhabitable, shelter is of critical importance, with the region in the grip of bitter sub-zero temperatures. For many, just staying warm is a daily struggle.
I applied, but no one gave me a tent. I'm taking care of orphan children. The front of my house was utterly cracked. We were afraid to go back there. There are some places to shelter from the cold, like mosques, schools, and condolence houses, and these are the places we have been staying.
Many remote villages where temperatures drop to -20 Celsius are only now starting to receive assistance, thanks in many cases to local support groups. Neighboring Syria, too, is only now starting to receive aid. AIDS groups warn assistance is desperately needed in the rebel-controlled Idlib province that was devastated by the quakes.
The delay in accessing the aids and the humanitarian aids through the borders increased the vulnerability, increased the crisis which is affecting the people over there. These medical supplies is approaching to be finished, and also the logistic supplies for the civil defense are approaching to finish, including diesel for the equipments and vehicles for evacuation.
In Turkey, international assistance is picking up as the government faces criticism over the speed of its response to the disaster. Those in shelters contemplate the painful reality they face.
We are staying with 4 families in this tent. We have no heating, we have nothing. You can see this is all we have.
Survivors in Turkey and Syria face the prospect of having to rebuild with nothing, at a time when so many are grieving the loss of their loved ones. Dorian Jones, VOA News, Istanbul.
Turkey's government estimates the quake has cost $50 million in damage. A Turkish business group puts the number closer to $80 million. Help is coming in from all corners in all kinds of ways, from clothing to food to heavy construction equipment to individuals volunteering their time.
Kardeşimin binası çökmüştü. Çok şükür onlar da kurtulmuşlardı.
Many of our neighbors died. We are so sad and wish to recover. We wish Turkey will recover. People are still under the rubble, and we are already mourning. God bless those who died and bring healing to the injured.
İçeride şu an kayınvalidem ve kayınpederim var. Enkaz altındalar. Yani ben buraya dün geldim.
My mother and father-in-law are inside under rubble. I got here yesterday and there was no one here. There were no rescue teams. I went up by myself, took a look, walked around. I saw bodies and we pulled them out from under the rubble. Some without heads. There's everything, believe me, it's all there. If you ask people which building in Hatay wouldn't collapse, they'd all point to this one. But this is the one that's in the worst shape. We have Ukrainian guests who fled the war, and they are also laying inside. We have had no contact.
Eight family members were missing. We pulled out 4 and buried them with our own hands. The civil defense rescued 3, and there is still a girl under the rubble, and until now, we don't know anything about her. Today I went to the hospital and asked the father. He said, "My little daughter, who is 14 years old, is she still under the rubble? She hasn't been pulled out?" I said, "Not yet." He said, "She was sleeping in the bedroom alone."
Cold.
Can you put that thing?
Skeleton. Oh, maşallah. Merador. Yap. Merra, Tavron Kruid. Samarugan. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Bebek nefes almakta zorlanıyor. Tamam. Tamam.
I was sleeping that time. Just I see something shaking. I heard my wife say, earthquake.
Today, I'm announcing that the United Nations is launching a $397 million humanitarian appeal for the people of earthquake-ravaged Syria. And this will cover a period of 3 months. We all know that life-saving aid has not been getting in at the speed and scale needed. The scale of this disaster is one of the worst in recent memory. 1 week after the devastating earthquakes, millions of people across the region are struggling for survival, homeless, and in freezing temperatures. We are doing all we can to change this, but much more is needed. And I have an urgent message to the international community. The human suffering from this epic natural disaster should not be made even worse by man-made obstacles. Access, funding, supplies. aid must get through from all sides to all sides through all routes without any restrictions.
تعي لعند خالك تعي يلا تعي يا ابو تعي ابو امير تكبير الله اكبر ابو امير الله اكبر شوي بس على الشارع شوي على الشارع عملك هي الوحيده اللي عايشه تكبير
VOA's Turkish and Kurdish services are on the ground in Turkey and Syria, trying to bring audiences there the latest information about rescue and recovery efforts, along with where survivors can find help.
There was a clear lack of coordination by the government, the local authorities, like the governors, the local rescue groups, local branches. They were not mobilized fast enough by the government. The situation on the ground is difficult. There's a serious problem of sheltering. Many people, as I said, are homeless. They lost their homes. They live outside on the streets. Even if their building is safe, they prefer living outside, either in the tents or especially a significant number of people staying overnight in their cars. So there will have to be an effort, a serious effort. Maybe it will take years of rebuilding effort from right now.
I want to talk about the political fault lines that go through this region. I'm talking about conflict across the border. I'm talking about allegations of repression both in Syria and in Turkey. Why does that matter? Why does that make the impact of a natural disaster like this any different?
Well, I should say this is the first test of a big natural disaster. How Erdogan would handle a natural disaster in such a big scale after he implemented the presidential system in Turkey. This is the big one. So we will see how he will handle. But as of right now, until right now, there's. We can clearly say that he did not make a good beginning.
Can I ask you just about the presence of a large number of Syrian refugees in this area? How is this resonating for that community and also for Syrians in Syria who are seeing this happen to their relatives?
Yes, there is the disparity in distributing the aid, but if you look at the Syrian side, one thing actually our stringers talk with the Syrians in the region. The Gaziantep especially you can see as the capital of Syrian refugees. There are a significant number of Syrian refugees there. They're like, how can I describe? They're saying that our country during the war had already collapsed on our heads, and now here the same thing happened. Turkey also collapsed on our head. We ended up being crushed under the rubble in both countries. And also in Turkey, maybe not from the political level, but when we look at the reaction attitude of Turkish people against the Syrian refugees, there's been an increasing level of animosity. When we look at the people's reaction, when we look at the social media posts, like, for example, there is a far-right party in Turkey, Victory Party. When we look at this party's leaders' statements now, we can see that there is, at least from some circles, there is a negative campaign going on against Syrian refugees.
For refugees who fled Syria's civil war, the earthquake adds yet another challenge for a group of people already beset with challenges. For Mersin, Turkey, our Arif Aslan tracks a Syrian refugee family who are once again facing hard times.
Muhammad Beko and his family had no choice but to flee the Turkish city of Hatay, one of the areas hit hardest by the earthquakes on February 6 that has left thousands of people dead in Turkey and Syria. Originally from the northwestern Syrian province of Idlib, Beko and his family moved to Turkey in 2013 after fleeing civil war in their country. The quake had a devastating impact on the Beko family, like so many other residents of Hatay.
The entire house was destroyed. My father and aunt remained under the rubble. We kept digging for 3 hours to get them out. My aunt lost her life, God bless her soul, but my father survived. Thank God he's fine.
After 3 days, Beko decided to move his family to the city of Mersin, which has been spared the devastation of the earthquake.
We left the city because there were still aftershocks. While there, we stayed under a tent for 3 days. It was very cold, and my children couldn't bear it. With every aftershock, my children got more terrified.
While they feel safe in Mersin, the family has been living on the street with no place to stay. With processing the scale of the devastation and grieving for the loss of his loved ones in Turkey and Syria, Beko says the future is uncertain once again. For Arif Aslan in Mersin, Turkey, Sirwan Kejo, VOA News.
Among the first responders to this catastrophe is a search and rescue team from Fairfax County, about 10 kilometers from here. VOA's Veronica Balderas Iglesias tells us they are joining others from the U.S. who are trying to help.
Syrian refugees in Turkey and those who have been displaced in northwest Syria are among the most vulnerable and have the greatest need for food and other assistance. The United States has joined several other nations to support relief efforts.
We are in the process of deploying additional teams to support Turkish search and rescue efforts and address the needs of those injured and displaced by the earthquakes. U.S.-supported humanitarian partners are also responding to the destruction in Syria.
Mobilized by USAID, the Fairfax County Urban Search and Rescue Team prepped for deployment to Turkey.
We have about 60,000 pounds of equipment here. We're loading 79 people with 6 dogs.
Health concerns will also need to be addressed, notes the U.S.-based humanitarian organization Project Hope.
Whether that be waterborne diseases or airborne diseases that are spread through communities that are now living very in close proximity in shelters. You will have a number of different disease vectors that will arise after the first few days of a disaster.
For those who want to help, the nonprofit Global Giving has some advice.
Cash is first and foremost the most important way to donate. And that is because the needs on the ground fluctuate so quickly. Look at the organizations on Charity Navigator in order to be able to verify that that is a trusted charity entity.
Humanitarian workers say it could take weeks for the emergency in Turkey and Syria to move to the recovery phase. Veronica Balderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
Among the challenges facing the hundreds of thousands left homeless by the earthquake is managing through winter temperatures. While it rarely gets that cold in Los Angeles, a mobilization is underway to get warm clothing and other essentials to those who need it. Details from LA and our Angelina Bagdasarian.
Since early morning, Los Angeles residents have been bringing humanitarian aid, including warm clothes and other essentials, to this mosque so that it can be sent to Turkey and Syria.
We are collecting winter clothes for Turkish people. As we know that Turkey has a really big disaster, and at this point, any humanity, either Muslim or non-Muslim or different faith, if they get hurt, we feel that we are getting hurt. So we are helping each and every person.
We at this masjid respond very kindly. And I have seen some clothes here that are summer clothes. What we need most are blankets and winter clothes like this.
Residents throughout California are stepping up with aid for earthquake survivors across the ocean. Nurdan Sivi is a singer and a volunteer in Northern California. For years, she's been collecting money to help Turkish children to get an education.
Maybe instead of sending kids to school, giving them scholarships, maybe we're gonna use the funds to build new schools. So we will use the funds for maybe more essential needs.
Businessman Murat Karslioğlu has sent all the trucks from his firm to transport humanitarian aid from collection centers to the airports in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Most boxes contain warm clothing and hygiene essentials for women and small children.
the only thing we can do from here, providing them things to help them survive, blankets, tents again, and because they will go through difficult next 3-6 months at least, and then after that, recovery will take at least 1 year, maybe longer than that.
U.S. rescue teams, along with their search dogs, are also on the way to help, and they're taking tons of humanitarian aid with them. Californians know all too well about this kind of catastrophe. The state itself is situated on the very active San Andreas Fault, making the region susceptible to powerful and dangerous earthquakes. For Angelina Bagdasaryan in Los Angeles, California, Anna Rice, VOA News.
Before we go, a development here in the United States that has raised more questions than answers. Less than a week after the U.S. downed what officials say was a Chinese surveillance balloon, the U.S. military shot down 3 more flying objects of unknown origin. Chinese officials say they can't say whether the newly downed objects are theirs, but say the U.S. is overreacting. Amid the questions, one thing is clear. China-U.S. relations have taken a hit. There are many questions about the 3 unidentified flying objects the U.S. military has shot down in as many days. Here's one thing the White House can say with confidence.
There is no indication of aliens or terrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Wanted to make sure that the American people knew that, all of you knew that, and it was important for us to say that.
But seriously, White House officials offered one theory on why the military is suddenly finding more of these flying vessels. Because these are the objects they're looking for.
If you set the parameters in such a way that to look for a certain something, it's more likely that you're going to find a certain something.
On Friday, less than a week after downing a Chinese balloon over the eastern shore of the United States, the U.S. military shot down a UFO over Alaska. The U.S. worked with the Canadian military to take down another over the Yukon Territory. And on Sunday, a third was shot from the sky into Lake Huron. People should not panic, Kirby said.
We do not assess that these most recent objects posed any direct threat to people on the ground, and we are laser focused on confirming their nature and purpose.
But if the truth is out there, it's clouded by China's anger over what they say is unfair U.S. punishment for a weather balloon that simply drifted off course and across the entire continental U.S. On Monday, China's foreign ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin accused Washington of being trigger happy. He did not say whether the 3 recent objects were Chinese, but fired a volley of accusations at Washington.
The U.S.'s abuse of force, overreaction, and escalation of the situation goes against the spirit of international law and against international practice. Now they are hyping up, exaggerating, and exacerbating the situation, using this as an excuse to illegally sanction Chinese enterprises and organizations. China is strongly dissatisfied and firmly opposes this.
The White House said there is no current plan for President Joe Biden to talk to Chinese President Xi Jinping. And Kirby said the Chinese military is not interested in speaking to the U.S. Defense Secretary. He also repeated claims that the U.S. does not have surveillance aircraft in Chinese airspace. That, says analyst Emily Harding, sets up tension with Beijing and raises serious questions for Washington, questions that Kirby could not answer when asked on Monday.
I think the messages that are sent to Beijing is, hey, we caught you, we know what you're up to, cut it out. I think the more interesting question right now for the Pentagon is going to be, what are the rules of engagement on these? Suddenly we've found these objects that are floating over the northern United States, and are we going to try and shoot down every single one of them that floats over the airspace, or are we going to come up with a much better way of determining what is and is not a national security threat?
And she said the conspiracy theories floating around the internet raise another concern.
When we have so little information out in the public, it's very easy for misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy theories to spread. There's been some, I think, well-intentioned joking about this on the interwebs over the weekend, but at the same time, like, you don't really know and you don't want to speculate and spread potential mis and disinformation.
Which leaves the biggest question of all. Once investigators learn what the objects are and what they were doing, what then? Stay up to date on that story, the earthquake recovery, and the rest of the news at voanews.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at VOA News, and follow me on Twitter at 6ArmsPowell. Catch up on past episodes on our free streaming service, VOA+. I'm Anita Powell. See you next week for The Inside Story.
According to Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunimbe Mamora, about 18 states in the Federation are still endemic, with more than 1,000 new leprosy cases yearly. He explained that the number of new leprosy cases detected yearly has significantly dropped from over 7,827 in 1994 to less than 2,000 in 2020. The Voice of Humanitarian Aid's Foundation took to the streets to march against the ostracization of people affected by leprosy and loud about changing the narrative. At her office, the National Coordinator of Voice of Humanitarian Aid, Franca Emekobum, shared the group's experiences from the field with people affected by leprosy.
Even we that are even speaking up for them, sometimes, it wasn't easy for our families and our friends to even accept, that what we are doing is not risky. They are even afraid to come close to me. They're scared. Initially they say, oh, no. We don't want you and your leprosy people, please.
Franca maintained that discriminating against the people with leprosy in itself is a deadly disease.
Already they are in pain. Already they are in sorrow. We should not add to that sorrow by discriminating against them. Rather, we should, come together as, people of God, one nation, one love, one family.
Dr. Yohen Akase is the head of infectious diseases at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, LUTH. He confirmed that leprosy is not contagious.
With leprosy, the truth of the matter is that over 90% of people, in fact, that's a conservative estimate to be honest, but over 90% of people who get exposed to leprosy are not going to have leprosy. Okay? So yes, it's not such a contagious infectious disease in the context of how we look at contagion, that if somebody has leprosy, touches you, you're going to get leprosy. In fact, it's well known that there are a certain, for lack of a better word, genetic predispositions to getting, not everybody is going to get leprosy, even if they get exposed to that. Picking somebody who has already had a deformity at that time to keep him isolated, apart from the fact that it's not interrupting the chain of transmission, it has, like you said, it entrenches the concept of stigma, denies them of being productive, being rehabilitated and getting on with their lives, living a normal life as possible. And also, generally, doesn't achieve much, to be honest.
Jim Mohammed is a survivor of leprosy. He was affected at the age of 19 when he gained admission into Ahmadu Bello University, but could not continue his studies.
That was 1999, the first time I just detected that I got a leprosy, because I don't even know that it's a leprosy before. I was just told that I have some patches in my body, which I was just thinking that it's just be a ringworm. They are calling it a las egedomi. And I went to some people that are selling the herbs, that okay, I need the herbs for this thing, and they give it to me, and I'm using it. After using it, I don't even see any changes. That is why my mom just took me to one herbalist, which we are calling Babalawo, and the man just said that this one is leprosy.
The father of 3 recalled how he battled with discrimination.
During that time, I have some challenges with some maybe neighbors, even in where I'm living with my mom. One of the person that, the owner of the house, because we rented that house by then, we just said that, this one, we have to take it outside, because his father has house. Definitely you should go to his father's house. Don't let me lie to you. My faith is not solid by then. Because I was just thinking, asking God, why me?
The survivor is the chairman of the Association of People Affected with Leprosy and the PRO of the national body. He is particular about ensuring that nobody with leprosy ends up as a beggar on the streets.
Another day of bombing, another year of Russia's war on Ukraine.
With each shelling, we only become stronger. We adapt it. We survive every day.
Ukraine's resistance, its resilience, and its refuge. Now, the inside story, Russia-Ukraine, Year 2.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Pursuti, VOA Senior Washington Correspondent at VOA's Rooftop Studio. Marking 1 year of Russia's war on Ukraine is in itself remarkable. Most analysts and experts expected Moscow's military to march into Kyiv relatively quickly. Ukraine's tenacity is now being fortified with weapon systems from the United States and NATO. There are questions, though, about the depth of the political will to keep spending billions of dollars to supply Ukraine. But there is no doubt about the will of Ukrainians to fight and defeat the Russians. Ahead, you will see their resolve, how they are surviving day by day, and discover the ripple effects the war is having around the world. We'll start close to one of the war's front lines, the city of Kupiansk in northeastern Ukraine. Russian forces occupied it from the war's start until it was liberated in early September, but Russia wants it back and has bombed the key railroad town daily since its latest offensive began in late January. Jan Boshat shows us the struggle for those who left the town.
After months of enduring Russia's year-old war in Ukraine, a woman by the name of Nina says she has given up.
We simply didn't expect anything like this.
For the past weeks, the bombing has been too constant, too hard, too close.
Vitaly, ты?
This person wants to be evacuated. Can you write down the details? She can't use her phone. I'm passing the phone.
Good afternoon. Can I go on Monday?
1 week before this war entered its second year, Nina decided to leave the life she had built here since 1993, when she came from a small village on the Romanian border.
The bombings never stop. I'm still alive because a power plant was close to us, which protected us. But now, I don't know anymore. It's time to go.
The Russians have been bombing Kupiansk daily for the past month, sometimes all day long. Destruction is everywhere, and many here believe the city may be doomed to a fate like Bakhmut, where Russians and Ukrainians have been fighting street by street, house by house, for months. Kupiansk is a strategic city. It is an important railway hub connecting the entire northeast of Ukraine with Russia. But bombs are only part of the problem here.
The local citizens are on the edge of a humanitarian catastrophe, have lost their jobs, and have no means to live anymore.
Ivan Azonov oversees civil defense in Kupiansk. He says promises of help from the United Nations and other Western organizations have yet to arrive.
Things are becoming worse. We need the help from our Western partners to hold and don't let them to move further.
Local humanitarian aid organizations have tried to offer some relief to the Kupiansk's 16,000 residents. In this kitchen, 6,000 meals are served every day. For many, this is the only food they get.
The problem is not food. The problem is money. People have lost their jobs.
Without money, there's simply no easy way out. Many are forced to stay. Larissa Polyakova and her father, Ivan Zaika, have lived in a basement for 3 months.
There are no jobs. I'm living on my dad's pension.
Larissa once worked in a small clothing factory, but like most business